New York Dolls, studio and live. In the late 60s, music got rebellious. Lennon and his mop tops, who had been cheeky chappies at the Royal Variety Performance and had been awarded MBEs, were now singing about revolution. The Stones had become their satanic majesties and were street fighting men claiming sympathy for the devil whilst challenging every social norm, from gender stereotype to drug usage. Then we got the heavy rock bands. You would not have wanted your mum to meet Ozzy, let alone the Queen. And then there was glam and Bowie. Yet when the New York Dolls appeared on the Old Grey Whistle Test, they caused a storm. I did not see it that night, and I could not see what the fuss was about. I heard some of their songs on the radio and they were okay, but not that surprising if you were familiar with Velvet Underground or the Stooges or even the deep cuts of bands like Mott the Hoople. The makeup was over the top, but being Yanks, it seemed to me they were typically late to the party. The whole brickies in drag thing had been mastered by those blockbusting ballroom blitzers, The Sweet, years before. To understand the impact, though, you have to put it in context. It was the era of the AOR Supertramp Fleetwood Mac snooze fest of the mid-70s. A few years later, we would all be rebellious again, with a new anthem for the Jubilee. And there is an argument that the Dolls started that fire. The music has a Stonesy rock and roll sloppiness to it, a bit like the Faces. They made a couple of decent albums at the time, though a compilation will do. The best songs are their most famous, Personality Crisis and Jet Boy. Both were performed on the TV that night and can be found on YouTube. David Johansen was the perfect snarling frontman, and Johnny Thunders perfected the Chuck Berry simplified punk lead guitar sound used by the likes of The Clash. Thunders with his band The Heartbreakers became one of the first punk bands touring the UK with The Clash, The Pistols, etc., and co-writing a punk anthem with the Ramones, Chinese Rocks. Another thing they brought to the game was the campness of the 60s girl groups like the Shangri-Las. This predates the Ramones, Ronettes and all things Spectre influence. The New York Dolls, live and studio.